And welcome to another episode of the Dynasty Trades HQ podcast. My name is Michael Cipes. You can find me on Twitter at FFBlitz. And I'm here with my partners, Jeremy Browand.
Hey, what's up at Dynasty Madman?
Wow. And Shane Manila.
Well, it's that Shane is the worst at the Twitter. Although, I'm not going to lie to you, I was thinking about changing my handle again.
Yay!
You need to think. You have to, dude.
Think marketing.
It has to be something like f***ing happier. You're one of the people I look to when I think about optimism and how can you make your fucking football team better. And I'm optimistic. I'm going to make some trades. Shane is the worst. Just does not put you in the right light. I'm sorry, man. It doesn't. You got to come up with something more positive and punch people in the mouth with it.
I don't know if you guys heard, but it was announced the other day. I'm actually I've joined DLF as a writer.
Oh,
really
congratulations!
Good for you, man.
That's awesome.
You're a good writer, Shane.
The introduction part of the introduction tweet was something like, Shane brings something and snark. And I was like,
that was accurate.
You know what? I think I might change it to like Shane is snark.
I like it. That's true, man.
Yeah.
That was a true comment about you, and it's a positive thing, and I like it.
I do too. I might, I don't know how people feel if I keep changing my goddamn handle.
Shane is the worst is a lie. So just go with Shane is snark because that is true. You're not the worst, not even close. And congratulations, by the way. I know that's something that you like to do. You're really good at writing. You could write for anyone. I know you wanted to do this, and congratulations to you. You've been writing for Fantasy Pros. Yeah, man. Good for you, dude. Your writing needs to get out there. It's really good stuff.
I appreciate that. And I got to make sure I don't mess up and say the handle is Shane is Snarf.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the Smurfs?
No, wasn't that the Thundercat? Snarf.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't that his name?
Snarf. Yeah.
Oh, my God. Right. I could see that on a shirt, though. That's the kind of name that would, that you could make a shirt with,
Yeah, we'll do a shirt.
But that's pretty cool. Congratulations, dude. And so do you start right away? Have you already started? When's your first article going to come out and stuff?
Well, funny story.
You should write it naked.
That night, I actually emailed, the content bosses over there, and I'm like, hey, I have this idea for an article. Is it cool if I write it? So, 24 hours goes by, and I didn't hear back. I'm like,
uh-oh.
Well, that's weird.
They hate you already.
Right. No. So then, then I got the Gmail alert that, the email you sent this to doesn't exist. And I looked and I'm like, oh, I added an extra dot.
Nice work.
Oh,
hey, you get an editor, don't you?
So then I sent it back, and literally within a minute and a half, Ryan got back to me and said, go for it. So,
that's cool.
Look, awesome. We'll be trapped in the house for Memorial Day. So going to try to bang out this weekend.
When's Memorial
Day? We're supposed to have nice weather too this weekend.
When's Memorial Day? This weekend already?
Monday's Memorial Day.
I don't even know what stupid day it is. And I don't know what it's like to have good weather. It's been pouring here in South Florida every single day. It rains.
Ohio. It's been cold and rainy, but this weekend's supposed to be nice. And
well, good.
I want to get the kids out of the goddamn house. I want to get outside and do something. I'm sick of breathing in this stale air, cooking for my kids, waiting on my kids, doing their homework with them. I can't, dude. I failed a test this week. I had to redo it.
So you know who isn't going to have to stay in crappy? Well, no, actually, he's going to go to crappy weather, isn't he? I saw, we always talk about how breaking news happens just when we're about to do a show. About an hour and a half ago, it said that Carlos Hyde signed with the Seattle Seahawks. So he's going to a rainy part.
Get out the way, bro.
Murdered him.
Carlos Hyde. I'm sorry, DJ Dallas. All respect, I like you, but you're not as good as Carlos Hyde yet, who can catch the ball, who can run up the middle. I mean, he's meh, but still, he's helped a lot of teams when they had injured running backs. He can do it all. He's just kind of, that guy. But, yeah, DJ Dallas isn't going to get on the field now. Carlos Hyde is there with the other guys, probably, at least not at first.
Yeah. And that's the problem that's the biggest problem. It's not that Carlos Hyde is this great running back. He's definitely slightly above replacement level, but where the path to prominence or fantasy relevance for DJ Dallas was being able to get on the field immediately.
Yes, sir.
And then show like, oh, no, he's a good player. We can do this. And now with Hyde there, and if he can hold the ship until Carson's fully healthy, or if Carson's healthy to start the season, there's just where does DJ Dallas is the third running back at bat. And
Carlos is a guy that the Seahawks can just plug in on day one, like when the season starts, as their starting running back, and then kind of, get DJ Dallas involved, but he's not going to have a big role at first as a rookie like we expected. And then when those other guys come back, see how it shakes out, Carlos Hyde will be phased out. But at first, and that's sad. I thought, that was a great opportunity for DJ Dallas until they started, looking at signing free agents. Oh, well.
That's the peril of late round rookie picks, and you don't expect them to hit. You just hope. You're looking for that perfect situation,
opportunity. That's what those guys need the most, opportunity, and that's just gone now. You're right.
He had that chance, and and that's. And look, people can say, "Oh, well, it's just for 2020 because Carlos Hyde's not going to be there." Blah 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 blah. Whatever. DJ Dallas was a late round draft pick, so that's why it's imperative they get on the field soon. Because what happens is if they don't, the cycle continues. Next year, Seattle.
Yeah, they'll bring somebody else in the third or fourth round, right?
Right. Didn't they what did they?
DJ Dallas.
What was it? Travis Homer last year was the late guy.
Yeah, honestly, he might be better than DJ Dallas. We don't really know. He's kind of a vanilla running back, but who knows? He might actually be a nose ahead of DJ Dallas. One of those guys. But that's the thing. It's kind of parity until we see how that pans out. And you're taking a chance on DJ Dallas, like Shane said. His chance of succeeding now is if everybody's hurt and he gets on the field for opportunity, but probably next year. And then what comes next year? Seattle drafts another running back in the third round. And so DJ Dallas is no longer relevant.
And we've talked about it so many times on the show too, about how everybody expects all these running backs and all these rookies to hit, and then now just little teeny things here and there start happening, and then all of a sudden they fall out of favor.
Chinks in the armor, baby.
Yeah, it's always the worst feeling too, is when all your sleeper guys start getting picked off one by one.
Yep.
You're like, oh, I had 160 sleepers that I thought were going to do something.
You had players that were good, yeah.
But,
you know what else is great is we're doing both of the auction drafts right now.
That was a horrible idea. You said Shane was going to get confused. I'm getting confused. I go into HQ4. I'm like, oh no. I do have two quarterbacks in this one. It's HQ5. I need a quarterback. I cannot remember what the hell I'm doing. You thought it was going to be Shane. Maybe he's feeling that too, but I'm definitely screwed up by this right now.
You know what I did until I got it down finally?
Oh my God.
Every time I'd go in to do a bid, I go submit lineup so I can see, okay, this is...
Who do I have? Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. I have Baker and I think Matt Ryan in one, and then I have Joe Burrow and Dak in the other.
And in one I have only Drew Lock, and I'm not set.
And I'm not sure if you remember, but when we did the auction for Goats and Pros, that's what I told you guys on the show is how I was drafting my team. I wouldn't look at my roster. I'd go to the submit lineup button. Yep. And then that way you can tell what pieces you need. But the point of it was, what I meant to say is the fact that we're doing the 4 and 5 right now. And I think it's been fun, and for all of our listeners, they've had a lot of fun. But a lot of the rookies went for a lot of money, and I know DJ Dallas is
great players are going for not a lot of money. Because the guys that held back with the big money, which is one strategy, they didn't get the studs we got, but they held back and they have tons of money and they control the board right now because they can basically get whoever they want.
Yeah, but the funny part of it is like I know DJ Dallas is already gone in both auctions. I don't know how much he went for. I didn't look it up. But
the one league I know he went off the board. The last I had seen, he was up to $39, and I was like, "That's
not
too much."
Oh, here you go. Yeah,
HQ that much on DJ Dallas.
HQ5, he went for $38. There it is, right there.
38.
Oh
okay.
my God!
I knew it was right around there, and I saw that amount. Because, when he went on the board, I'm like, oh, there's a guy I can get for $4 or $5. And as soon as he hit double digits, I'm like, no.
Yeah, no, exactly.
In the other league, Oh yeah, it hasn't happened yet. Never mind. I thought it was already in both. But yeah, 38-1. But it is funny though, because it is happening. These people, I'm not saying anything about the people in our leagues. It's just that everybody's trying to grab those rookies. And if it was just a rookie snake or whatever, those guys would be, late rounds. But because they're on the board,
no one would be paying money for them.
Exactly. Right? But because they're on the board and people are bidding, and after tonight we're allowed to throw 3 names up. So there'll be a lot of names on the board tomorrow.
I forget to nominate. I nominate here and there, but it's not something that I regularly do. But I do play the board pretty hard, and I'll bid on one player at a time to make sure I get the player I want strategically. But I see people playing games, and I'm waiting to throw out that Big Ben gif where he's like, "Oh," when someone interrupts me in the last 5 minutes, red lines happening for sure sooner or later.
So I realized I do have a strategy. I don't know if it serves any real purpose, or if it, you know what I mean, like, but it makes me feel good.
Right.
So what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll look at the folks. They have money available, right? Like a high amount. So like Scott, for instance, Scott had a lot of money in there.
He always hangs back so he can control the board after a certain point.
Right.
So, I know. I knew he was doing that.
Yeah. So every player that he had a bid on, I tried to go in, and if I could afford it, I tried to up the bid by $5.
I love it.
Just to get his money, you know what I mean, spent on it.
Oh, yeah, make him spend more. Sure.
Right. Now, there's an obvious downside to that, is that you could accidentally overbid him and then end up having that player. But I figure even in that case, right, when the bids are just so small that if he really wants that guy, he'll just come over top of me. And I haven't gotten burned on that yet, but that's just that's one thing.
It's gonna happen, but as long as you do it with a player that you actually want, it's fine.
Well, I will say this:
accidentally win a good player.
Mike? I was on Rookie Fever yesterday with Finaro and Swags, and Finaro is in HQ4, and this is the first time he's ever done an auction. So he was saying that yeah, he's never done one before, and he was saying that he just has this strong feeling that if he sees a player on the board that is too low in his mind, he goes in there and bids on him whether he wants the player or not. And
he's price enforcing, even though that's typical.
Well, but he's never done it before. So, but he and I talked about it on the show, Shane, about what you just said about if you're going to do that, you have to be prepared to be able to be stuck with the guy if you end up going over the top. And some of the times too, even if you think the price is too low on a player, but when you say you look at their money, Shane, the other thing to do is look at their roster, because a lot of times is just because you think it's too low, who cares? It could be real estate. It could be a player that they end up winning, and that's one less player that they'll be able to bid later because they're using up their spots. But I know you've done it to me in this draft also, Shane. I've seen it a couple times.
I went through everyone basically, looking at money, and I'm like, I think I can raise this by $1 over what he's got there. So then I'm just like, let me just keep inching up $1 or two,
until it goes, Right.
Well,
the one thing to be careful of, it's fine if you hit somebody on the red line and outbid them and maybe win the player, but trust me, that person will remember that you did that, and be prepared later in the draft for them to retaliate in some way on a player that maybe they don't even want. But if you redline someone, they're probably going to hit you back, and it's going to hurt. It's just how it is.
All is fair in love and auction.
And it is funny because one thing that Finaro said last night, and he mentioned you, Shane, is he said that
he mentioned Shane,
well, because he's never done it before, and he said that he got redlined by Shane, and then he commented about it, and then Shane said, "Redline is a way of life, baby," or something like that. And so
I love it.
I redlined him on CEH in the one league because he was going to get CEH for like $140. I was like, no.
Yeah,
that's a player, like, if I would have won the bid, I would have been fine with, definitely, you know what I mean? But I was damn sure not letting him go off the board that early.
You have to check on things like that.
We have like 30 players on the board right now, and the only player that's over $100 is Cam Akers. He's at $157. So
I can't afford him.
I know, but what I'm saying is a lot of these rookies.
I know, neither can I, and I know better. But I wanted guys that I really wanted, and I got Dobbins 2, and I didn't need him, but I wanted him, so I overspent by at least $150. So now I'm just holding back, waiting for the shitty players to hit the boards. I'm not winning anything for a while.
And what's funny is if you look at HQ5, there's 6 or 7 players that are over $100. So the interesting thing, what I was going to say earlier,
different markets, right? Every league has a different market.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say earlier when I mentioned to you that we were doing it at the same time and you guys said the thing about confusing, whatever. The one thing I've noticed is how different the two auctions are. You know, different players are doing it differently, and there's still so many good players left in HQ5 that haven't even been put up.
Like, oh my God. Seriously?
So
DJ Shark is still out there. And, the guys with a lot of money are going to get those players and probably at a really low price because the rest of us can't compete. And that's the danger of going all in, going after Ezekiel Elliott and Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook early and Nick Chubb and all that. It's you pay for it on the back end when these guys are getting values on other great players. You look at your starting lineup and you're like, I'm set.
That's what I said to Fanaro last night on the show. I said, you can either spend all your money right away and get players or get some of these value guys, but I'd rather have the stud starting lineup than to have a whole bunch of
4 spots. Yeah, right. Yeah,
than to have like all this depth of all these players that I wouldn't necessarily want to even put in my starting lineup, you know? Yeah, I would have a bunch of players, but I wouldn't want to start them, you know?
And here's what I've been thinking, especially now that I quickly ran out of a lot of big bucks, and neither of my rosters are bad by any circumstance or by any stretch. But I just think from now on, my new rule is I'm going to nominate however many players I need to nominate on that first day and then not look at that motherfucking board till the following day and just let it go. Let it go.
Yeah. Like, you know what? Basically put your top bid in and forget about it. 12 I win or I don't, right?
Yeah, 12 players to 14 players could go off the board. You know what? If I don't get any of them, that's fine. Someone overspent on them. That's me. I'll have me cash. Me money. I'll have money for, the rest of the auction, and just, the players will still be very good. So that's what I think my new plan is. HQ 7 next year?
6. It'll be 6. Yeah.
It'll be HQ 6 Devy League. Yeah, we'll do that. But I'll tell you what, we're not doing 2 at the same time again. I can't do that, bro.
Well, no, because HQ 7 is going to be pretty, or 6 is going to be pretty. We're going to have Devy. You can trade Devy dollars.
IDP? Devy and IDP, Shane? Devy and IDP?
No, IDP, I'll go home.
Yeah. We'll talk about it next offseason, what we're going to exactly do. But I will say this, Shane, what you said about day one, and he said it last night too. I said, you could say that, but I guarantee you the next time you do you do an auction and you say, I'm not going to do anything on day one, it's complete bullshit. Because you'll say that, and then, yeah, exactly. And then within like an hour, you'll be back in there. You just can't not do it, It's fun. It's what happens.
But he's trying to restrain himself, and I agree. Next year, HQ6 Devy League, and we'll figure it out. We'll go from there. And we do need to do an IDP league at some point, Shane. And whether you're in that one or not, we probably need to do it.
Well, listen, we'll talk about it next year. But whatever we do, Shane, all 3 of us will be involved because, first of all, I fucking hate Devy, but I'll do it if we're doing a Devy league. So,
dude, how do you know what's great about this show is that I love Devy. I like IDP. I don't care that much for it. Shane hates IDP. You hate Devy. It's funny. We got a good mix because, like, we really do. Like, between the 3 of us, there's nothing we can't do if we team up. But we don't all love the same stuff, and it's funny.
And speaking of that, you started something this week, didn't you, Jeremy? I know we have a friend of the show that wants us involved in something, and you started it this week.
He's going to come on the show later to do a little bit of a promo for what we're talking about, and it's called Gamer Huddle. It's essentially 32 NFL simulated teams playing against the other teams in the league, and the gambling halls are betting on those games. So I am the owner of the Browns. My son and I drafted the team. We played the preseason games. We broadcast our matchup tomorrow we broadcast it to the gambling halls, to the betting sites, and people bet on our games. The team that I drafted for the Browns, that my son and I drafted, our opponent's team, the team that they drafted. We can choose our coaches. We can change our offensive scheme. Like, I had talent on. Listen, guys, it was fun. I drafted an offense of players on Madden 2020 with, Madden 20 with my son. We did pretty well on the offensive side, and so we mixed it up. We can trade players. We can work on stuff. It's really like being a GM of a team. You put it out on the field. You have no control, play by play, quarter by quarter. You just let it roll. It's simulated. It looks real. And people are gambling, betting on the lines and betting for or against your team in those games. It's really cool. So Chris DuPont, who started this up for GamerHuddle.com, he's going to join us today, speak a little bit about it, and, just basically explain what I can't. I'm excited, man. My son and I are having so much fun with this.
Cool. So while we wait for him, he'll come in a little bit. We're going to go over some of the trades that we have on the show sheet. And before...
Dog, I had more important news, too.
Okay. What is the more important news?
Real quick, I wanted to make fun of Devontae Freeman because originally Seattle had offered him a contract worth up to $40 million with incentives.
I would have taken it.
He was like, $4 million? I'm Devontae Freeman's son. If you're not going to give me a contract that I deserve, I am out. And they were
right.
Immediately they were like, Devontae, you have a great day. We're going to go call Carlos.
Yeah.
Right. And now should have taken that deal.
Now Freeman's saying, oh, well, if I don't get the contract I want, I'm not going to play in 2020.
Oh, my God.
Devontae, did you know that you are a 27-year-old running back?
He's still okay, though.
But he's a 27-year-old running back with a pretty significant history of injuries. He's undersized with a lot of wear, who clearly looks like he lost his burst.
Yes.
Dog, you sit out 2020. The NFL might say, that's fine. You go ahead and sit out 2021, 22.
Yeah, if you sit out 2020, your career is probably over, bro.
Yeah.
So he turned them down, and now there's nothing. And
so Carlos Hyde has that role now. The thing is, if he had taken that job, he probably would have been the starter in week 1 because of what's going on with Carson and Penny. He probably would have been the week 1 starter. And if he played well, maybe he would have made a season of it. So he's passing up on guaranteed money and a starter's job, a probable starter's job for who knows what. Maybe he gets signed by a team for the same money or maybe more to just freaking back up somebody. But
it's amazing.
It's stupid if you want to play football to pass up a guaranteed chance like that.
It's amazing how many of these guys do that now. And I used to really be a big running back guy when it came to fantasy. I loved running backs and stuff. And I've sort of gone towards the wide receiver spot more so now.
You mean Michael Thomas?
I've got Michael in all 3 of the listener leagues we've done in the last 2 weeks. I have Michael.
My guy, and you know it.
Yeah, I have Michael.
Go ahead and get Mike Evans. I won't fight you for him.
So what I was saying was that I've kind of gone towards the wide receivers more than the running backs because these running backs, they're all these, even like with Gurley and Melvin Gordon, both of them were out of job, or they both signed with people for 1 year stuff. And you just never know with these guys. But the other one that's really hilarious to me money wise, and you say that about Devonta Freeman, but did you see the Dak Prescott one today too?
That he turned down that 1 year guaranteed. I don't understand.
Because he knows that so here's the thing Dak's thinking, right? So if I can get more next year. I'm betting on myself. It's a fait accompli. It's done. Yeah, I said that word. 2 words. 2 words.
Wow.
Yeah, Shane,
and you know what it means.
No, it's on my calendar. So I had to use it today.
You know what it means.
Pat Mahomes is going to do a contract soon. After next year, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know who else because I haven't looked at the market. I'm sure 1 or 2 other quarterbacks will be out there, and they'll help raise the market. If Dak bets on himself, he's like, if I wait another year, I can get $40 million a year the following year, or they franchise me, right? And I'm going to get whatever that franchise is what the top 5 at the position or whatever, and everybody else's contracts are going to raise that level. Like Kirk Cousins did. Washington kept franchising him, and he ended up making like $90 million over 3 years. So I understand where Dak's coming from. And if I'm Dak and I wanted to bet on myself, this is the year to do it with the additions of CD Lamb, and now you got Blake Jarwin and Amari Cooper. Like, that offense should just be bananas, and he should just put up ridiculous stats.
BANANAS.
Well, when I looked at Twitter this morning, Andy Dalton was trending, and I was like, "Why is Andy Dalton trending?" And when I clicked on it, it was all the Dak stuff, and every single person was like, "It's Andy Dalton time in Dallas now." Like, all these people were all pissed off this morning about Dak, telling him, "No, I don't want this." I don't know that would ever happen, and it's more likely what Shane just said is going to happen, but that's what the Twitter universe thought this morning.
Here's the thing, right? Look, I like Andy Dalton. I think he's an above average quarterback. I think you could win with him, as far as 10 games, a playoff game. Andy Dalton, I don't believe, is going to win a Super Bowl. Not in today's NFL. This isn't, the days of Joe Flacco winning a Super Bowl with a dominant defense, or, Baltimore before that winning a Super Bowl with a dominant defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, I just, look, you can't, if you think Andy Dalton can step in there and do what Dak does, no. I mean, because part of what's good about Dak is the fact that he's got that rushing upside too.
Yeah.
So, like, if they spread that defense out, and what are you going to do? Is basically you got Ezekiel coming out of the backfield, you got Gallup and Amari Cooper on both sides, and then you got CD Lamb. You send all them out, how are you going to stop Dak if he wants to rush for a touchdown?
Well, and I think part of why everybody was saying the Andy Dalton thing obviously was the money. They were like, well, for the money they're paying Andy Dalton, they can use him. And it doesn't seem very realistic, but that's what people were saying this morning. And when you just said Flacco signed today too, didn't he? He signed with the Jets.
Yeah, he signed with the Jets for $2.5 million. There was some chatter before the Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts that Flacco would have been a good fit here at Philadelphia as a backup.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go to the trades now that we're talking about, because we don't have Chris.
I still wasn't done.
Oh, so every time I'm moving on, you're not done yet. Okay. What's the other thing?
So just Eagles insider Adam Kaplan was talking about young goat Mr. Miles Sanders, and he said that from what he hears, he's hearing Sanders will receive 15 to 18 touches per game. The expectation being that would be 3 to 4 receptions and 12 to 13 carries. So assuming that comes to pass, what do we think? What do we think that's going to be for young Mr. Sanders? What's his upside with that kind of role?
The funny thing is, Jeremy is talking, but we don't hear anything he's saying. So
I said I'm not as high. I muted myself. I'm not as high on Sanders as I was before, but the starting running back for the Eagles is why I want a piece of that guy, right? But I'm not excited. I don't think he's the best running back. It's really the role that he has, the team that he's on, that gets me excited at all. So.
Miles seems to have jumped really high this offseason.
People are drafting him high, yeah.
Yeah. I've seen him in the first round, and I've seen him go for a lot of money in these auctions. So people are very excited about him this offseason right now. What do you think, Shane? What are you willing to give for him, or how high are you willing to draft him?
I'm still super high on him. I've compared him and comped him to Alvin Kamara. And I easily see him being able, not easily, I shouldn't say easily, because that makes it flippant. It kind of disrespects what Alvin Kamara has done.
Yeah.
But I can see him easily. Damn it, I said it again. I tried to explain myself. I can see him doing what Alvin Kamara does. I think he's that good personally. And, obviously I'm going to have, I guess, I don't want to say a bias or biases, but I get to watch him every week, and you see how special he is. You know what I mean?
You do.
You see him running routes as good as any running back in the league. And I don't mean like little flares. I mean like down the field, like stop starts and breaking dudes' ankles. And then when he gets in the open field, just being fast enough and having the agility and the moves to just take it to the house.
So where do you rank him? And I mean, even as an Eagles fan, assuming there's a little bit of bias, but trying to be objective, where do you place him in the running back rankings, if nothing else? Just among running backs, where do you have him?
I mean, I easily have him in the top 12. I haven't sat him down.
Running back 1 territory. Okay.
Yeah, I have him as a running back 1.
Fair.
I don't.
I get that. I would too. I would too. Yeah.
Look, and honestly, this is off the top of my head. I could see me ranking him top 6.
Okay, that's where I was thinking you were going to say. When you said I have him definitely as a running back 1, I have no arguments there. But when you're saying top 6, that's when we get into some dialogue we could have. I agree. I think he's just based on situation and ability, likely a running back 1, maybe around the 12 spot. I don't think of him higher than that. Like you said, top 6, that I'm going to pay for him at top 6. In fact, I swear to you, I would rather pay less money and trust Todd Gurley to be a better running back this year than Miles Sanders. Nothing, personal in that. Just I really think that Gurley has a great chance, in Atlanta to do at least this year great things. And so I picture him as maybe a top 6 back this year. Sanders, I picture as a future running back 1, no arguments, maybe perennially running back 1, but not like a top 5-6 guy. Maybe. I hope I'm wrong. That'll be good for you as an Eagles fan and stuff. But what do you think about Sanders, Mike? Because you don't really bid on him in the auctions, right?
Yeah, no, because the thing with Sanders to me is, like I said earlier, he's so hot right now, the way he's going. He's too expensive for me. He's drafted too high, and the money that gets put on him in auctions is too high. I don't disagree with the talent, and I don't think that he's like, I agree with you, Shane, that there's the possibility that he could, be Alvin Kamara, like the way Alvin Kamara did it. But I agree. But to be able to get him right now, it's just too much for me. And to trade for him, it's impossible. He right now he's so
people want a lot for Sanders if you're trying to get him from them. Yeah.
Right. So if you're thinking in just in value wise, I agree with his value. I just think that it's too hard, or at least too much for me to pay for him right now.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with where he's valued. I really don't. It seems appropriate, but yeah, I'm with you. Like, if I want to acquire him, well, I may as well go for someone else because the price is a little bit high. Yeah. It's a little bit more than I want to pay anyway.
So I definitely get what you're saying. I do. But you know me, I've never, ever been a guy that's really worried about overpaying for people.
Yeah, you're not scared to do that. I know. You're brave about those things.
And I've overpaid plenty of times for people that I want to overpay for. What I'm saying is, at this point in time, he is not someone that I feel like I want to overpay for. I've overpaid for plenty of people,
So let me just give you some statistical stats.
One statistical majestic.
Sounds good. Go ahead.
Last year, Miles Sanders finished 20th in fantasy points per touch. Obviously, obviously that's not wide receiver. Yeah, RB1 scoring right there.
Right.
But the thing about that is too, and I've talked about this, he only scored 6 touchdowns last year. Like, the regression is coming. Like, that dude is going to get touchdowns.
He's going to get more than 6, guaranteed. Yeah.
If he would have had 8 touchdowns last year, 9 touchdowns, he moves into the top 10. If he gets a legitimate, like, significant touchdown share, 10 or 11, then you're talking about a guy that's top 5 in fantasy points per touch. So I'm all over him. No, Kyle's asking us in YouTube chat if any of us have him over CEH, or do any of you have CEH ahead of Sanders?
Oh, no.
You don't have CEH ahead of Sanders?
First of all,
I do. Yeah,
okay,
I
all right.
Just because of the involvement in the passing game, but just barely. I'm not a CEH stan. I understand that they still have a good running back. They're always going to run the ball between the tackles, and it's probably not going to be CEH. Sometimes it's going to be Edwards-Helaire, but I have him slightly above based on opportunity. just barely above Sanders, but they're both in the same kind of boat for me that I'm not paying for either one of those guys. Other people can pay for them, and I'm taking different running backs. Me.
Probably good arbitrage play, especially for someone like me who's horny for Sanders, is trading CEH for Sanders plus. Because I think you ask 80% of the fantasy owners out there who they'd rather have, I'm pretty sure they would say that they want CEH. And they'd give you some snark about it too. Be like, oh, well, obviously it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So I might try to do that pivot.
And that's the thing too. Like, which one right now do you think people would more, if you had either players or both players, which one do you think people would pay more for?
The thing is, which I've already mentioned a million times on this show and on other shows, is that the way people value these rookies so much, you could get way more for somebody like him. And Shane, you said it last week. I mentioned that I got Alvin Kamara for cheaper than the person who bought CEH. And then it turned out that you were the person that bought CEH. So in our auction, you paid more. That's what you said, that you paid more for CEH than I paid for Alvin Kamara. And to me, I'm just not going to do that. If you're talking about for value, if you're doing it just because you want to turn around and trade him, they're both very valuable. But right now, the way the world is and the way these people are with these rookie classes, you can get so much for CEH right now. I agree. But no chance would I take CEH over Miles Sanders. And the way the people do these auctions and the way the people do this draft, everybody's saying that these rookies are definitely better than the ones that are already playing, and I disagree. And so, no, I wouldn't. I would rather take the Miles Sanders. And that's...
Good job. I agree.
I see what you're saying, but yeah, I definitely think I might throw this out there a little bit because just as on a similar point, I was on the father and son fantasy football podcast yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Do you really know the name of it? What is it called?
Yeah, it's right there. Dynasty Dungeon. It's their new what do you call that? It's their new Dynasty podcast, and Justin brought up a trade that he would make. We were talking about Sanders, and he's like, I'd give up Nick Chubb all day to get Miles Sanders. And I said, you're goddamn right. I would too.
No way.
Well, because you're not looking at it rationally.
I am. I'm looking at how much running the Browns are going to do, and the fact that Nick Chubb is simply better than Miles Sanders, period. And he's going to be running the ball a lot. So we could have a long, long conversation about this, but there's no way in hell I want Miles Sanders over Nick Chubb ever.
So here's the thing. Nick Chubb scoring dropped.
It's fine. Different offense. Different offense. Okay. They have a different coach this year, bro.
I got you, but they did bring Kareem Hunt.
And they're going to run two running back sets a lot, which makes Hunt and Chubb both more valuable each than they were last year when they were playing at the same time. So you can't really look at that stupid offense they had last year and say that that's going to be how they score this year. Nick Chubb is a better running back than Miles Sanders. I don't think you're going to get an argument from most people on that. And I want a better running back on Stefanski's offense, period. That's it.
Yeah, he's a pure better running back. If that was the only, he's not half the receiver. And the problem is Kareem Hunt is he's way better than Boston Scott. And look, I get what you're saying. It's definitely a new offense, thankfully, for everyone involved. But that doesn't mean that Kareem Hunt's still not there and that Kareem Hunt isn't still an excellent back. I mean, Kareem Hunt is a starting running back. He just, obviously he's there because of life decisions. So
right, yeah. The fact that he's a Brown, the fact that he's a Browns player is that here's the thing. Stefanski runs a lot of two running back sets. That doesn't have to be, Yankovic, the fucking fullback, and Chubb. It could be Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And I think that's going to happen. I'm pretty sure, like we saw last year when they had them both on the field, that's in the cards. Both guys are valuable. How much each gets as far as a partition, I don't know. But I'm still not willing to take, like Mike said, go all in on Miles Sanders based on the fact that he's playing for the Eagles. I'm just not going to do it. But you know what? We are joined right now by Chris DuPont of Gamer Huddle. And I know we all have some questions for him, so I'm going to let Mike introduce this guy, and we're going to get into this cool thing he's got going for EA Sports and Madden 20.
Chris, welcome to the show. And why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your product that Jeremy's been talking about quite a few times tonight already.
I love, everybody's going to think his name is Yuri Slickson.
Well, they think you're Mad Mandy Nasty, so whatever.
Yeah, so GamerHuddle.com is a site where you can basically take a Madden League off your gaming system onto a website that has all the statistics, analytics, anything that you want, like an ESPN.com or a Score Mobile for a Madden site. And some things that we're doing with it that includes the data capture is I'm competing against Jeremy right now in a league. And we drafted 50 rounds of our team. There's 54. We couldn't last the last 4. It was just too much. 32 different people in a 50-round draft. It took a while. And we're in week 1. Jeremy had his game. My game's going off in an hour and a half. Jeremy's team started off really well, actually. I think Laviska Shenault have a nice little run around the corner there for about 30 yards.
It was great, but when Matt Stafford throws 3 interceptions, your team's probably not going to win. And I've never wanted Andy Dalton to come off the bench so bad in my life, but I did in this game. So, yeah, we drafted our own players. So, for instance, I'm the Cleveland Browns, and I have Matt Stafford, Andy Dalton as my quarterbacks. I have Joe Mixon and J.K. Dobbins as my running backs. Dobbins is kicking ass. Wide receivers, I have on both sides of the field. I have Galladay on one side and Devontae Parker on the other. I have Jarvis Landry in the slot. I have Laviska Shenault, and I have Jalen Reagor backing those guys up as rookies. Play a multitude of positions. And I have Travis Kelce and Jason Witten at tight end. So my offense is fine. My right guard sucks. Doesn't matter what offensive scheme we choose, he still sucks. He's always it doesn't matter what we choose to do on offense. That guy's definitely a liability. But our defense is really pretty solid. 4-3, if we run a 46 or whatever they choose to do, it's pretty solid where, not a lot of misses. It was a lot of fun drafting, but it's like having a fantasy team that we drafted, because we did, on both sides of the ball, punter, kicker, all that. And we pit them up head to head, just like we do in fantasy football. And it's simulated. You can watch it live. You can watch it replayed. People are betting on it. It is so much fun. I didn't expect it to be this much fun, but it's been a blast.
Yeah, I mean, you create your team from scratch and then go watch how it performs. And the game's had 25 plus years to refine how like the real statistics of a player demonstrates their difference of disparity versus another player. And then they have all these ratings for it. You analyze it, just like you would a player's statistics. I mean, maybe use Bob's consistency score here. That looks good right there.
Bob Long, yeah, he's for this kind of thing. Bob Long's consistency really does help for sure.
Yeah. And so far it's going awesome, man. We're on 3 different sports books just out the gates. Now we're really looking to show more and get more adoption of it. We'll eventually, before Madden 21, have fantasy football available on this league or your own league if you want.
Yeah.
And wager leagues. Build your team and then wager on it versus your buddies. See how it does. You can wager each game or in a league.
That's pretty cool. How can the people that are listening right now, how can they get in and bet on, say if they wanted to bet on Jeremy or you or Bob Long or anything, how can they do that right now?
Yeah, they can do that every day because we advance a week of the season every day. And there's 3 different sites, GT Bets, GTBets.eu, BetNow.eu, SBGGlobal.eu. All 3 of them have us listed. So we've been hosting CPU leagues for them for a little while now, and advance a week of the season every day. We usually broadcast 4 games for them. What's cool about this is it's human management. So this is the first league that has that. Probably the first league ever. If you listen to the sportsbook that has that. And we're not doing 4 games, so we're doing an average of 15 games a day or 16 with the buys. 16 games a team. And we go through a season in 21 days, including playoffs.
Wow.
So there's no off season. And then the off season, there'll be a created rookie class. We'll have a draft on that. There's free agency. It's pretty fun. It's really in depth, like to the point where there's an owner section, and I got to mess with my apparel and food costs.
Exactly.
To increase my revenue, so that I have more money available to re-sign my guys. Like if I get guys that are really good, I gotta hold on some cash.
Re-sign them. And we're going to have to trade because my right guard for the Browns is a piece of crap, and we have to replace him sooner rather than later. But I'm telling you, the reason I love this is it's so much like fantasy football, except that it's even more so to the extent that you're the GM of a team, because you have every player on both sides of the ball. You can make moves, and you watch them play in the simulation. If you play Madden 20, it looks pretty cool. But when you see the simulation that Chris has set up when you watch the replays, it really looks like a real game. It looks like J.K. Dobbins running from the 1 to the 21 on a just up the middle, saving the drive run. It's amazing. It looks real. It's really cool.
So when you said people get to bet on these games, did you also say they get to watch the games that they're betting on too?
Oh yeah. So right now, how we have it set up is you go into our a league website of our league. There's various ones, like BetNow has one, GT has one, SBG has their own of our league. And then you go in and you can see the game being broadcasted. You go into the game preview, list what times the games will be on the betting sites, and surrounding that, so you have like all the statistics, how like their average points against, average points for, where they rank as a rushing team, like how they rank in defense against a rush, all the analytics that you'd have as a gambler for any play you go make. And then you can either watch the game right there or expand it and watch it on your phone, computer.
Yeah, I watched the game today on my phone. It was awesome. Yeah. I mean, it was perfect. And I could have watched it on the laptop. I could have saved it, whatever, but I watched it live on my phone, and it was just a lot of fun for me and my son.
And only one party has to broadcast the game. So Jeremy can go, off on a hike and watch his game if the other guy's broadcasting. So
I can watch Jeremy lose tomorrow.
Yes.
I did. We did lose today, man. Thanks, Matt Stafford, for your 3 interceptions. Are you freaking kidding me? 2 of them
got
were
Gallery for you, Scotty Miller, and a third for Laviska Shenault. I want Shenault to be a Niner.
I'll tell you what, I'm willing to move one of my receivers, but I am looking for a right guard that's better than that piece of trash we run out there that's a turnstile. He's horrible. He's not agile. He's not a power guy. It doesn't matter what offense I choose to run. He's not in it.
So that's cool that you guys can move players around and do all that kind of stuff. Now, the people that are gambling on your teams, is there like a deadline? Is there a time when you can stop moving players, like trading? Because you wouldn't want people to trade all their good players to some other guy, and then some gambler out there is getting screwed because of the trades.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that that's how it goes down, right? And to answer your question, we leave the trade deadline off. The reason we do that, just doing this over the years, like when a team's out of the race, you want to keep them engaged.
Right.
A great way to do that is to allow guys to continue to build their team. And I would tell you that you're right. Like come playoff time, one guy may want to make a run, and then some guy that's out of the race can now maybe get a little more value than he would have otherwise. So it actually will, over time, slightly help disparity, right? So that's one reason we leave it on. It's a little different, I mean, we go through season in 21 days. Guys are looking at this every day. You got to allow them to keep going.
Yeah.
I had a guy message today, and he's like, "Hey man, you're on AP. You're the home team. You shouldn't be on autoplay." I'm like, "It's not 7 p.m. I haven't yet broadcasted my game. It's fine." But everybody's self kind of policing, like to make this league a great thing. And so it is cool that people are making sure that the other teams are kind of on the ball, because we're just starting this out for the first time. And I mean, it's just a community of people who think the same way, and get out there, bet on the teams, and then maybe we start another league soon, and you guys are part of that too. By the way, Mike, you guys are PS4 owners, right? You play PS4, not Xbox?
Yeah, mostly on PS4. Shane too, right?
play is a strong word.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't remember.
I own a PS4.
Yeah, I'm practically on a podcast every single night. I don't have time to play the video games, but yeah, if I do anything, it's PS4. Yeah.
Well, that's the beauty. We're also not playing it. We're just watching it.
Right. Exactly.
You brought up a concern about the trades. And,
yes.
And a thing that is super important to this.
Yes.
That's different than a fantasy league is that league will end that year, right? Maybe a dynasty, you may still take some players, but our league ends for a season, but it's right back up. So you don't want to mortgage away something, because you have another season about to start.
Sure. And that's the way we play our dynasty leagues as well. So, and that's just what I was wondering. Mostly it was about the trade deadline. You came on our show about, I'd say 6 months ago or so, and talking about this product coming out. And it was it was way before we ever knew we'd have a global pandemic and we'd all be sitting at home not having anything else to do. So
gladly playing Xbox, right?
Yeah, so it's
what he's saying is, did you cause the global pandemic?
Well, that is not where I was going at all. No, that's not where I was going at all.
It was in his marketing plan all along.
But my point is,
he did this.
It's come in a perfect time for some people that they have no other sports to be able to watch. So something like this is a great timing for some people that really want to see something like this. And when you're talking about these leagues that we just started, where you guys have your teams and everything, what about the people that are listening right now? Are they able to go in and are they able to create any teams or be in any leagues, or are there some leagues getting ready to get started that some people that are listening right now could go in and join?
Yeah, so somebody can go join and make a league right now at any time. The wager league part we're so close to being finished, just like a few ID verification and fraud protection stuff that's being added, but the build of it's done. So we're really, really close to releasing it. And then, so with that, you'll be able to have a wager league. Just like fantasy football, everybody throws up an entry fee and, it gets split up based on performance. And then if Jeremy and I play, and I think we do play this season, him and I make a wager just amongst us on our game.
We'll make a prop bet for sure. Absolutely. I'll make a prop bet that my right guard sucks. But...
Okay, we know your team is that position sucks for you, but for what he was saying, go ahead, keep saying what people can do that are listening.
Yeah, this is awesome. And also the games that they can watch, Mike, they can watch the games that we've played already. They're streamed, they're broadcast. They're also available for people to rewatch later.
Yeah, we might do some scouting on the Browns before our game.
Yeah, and our offense is clicking when Stafford's not throwing those interceptions, baby.
We will also have kind of a daily fantasy sport available before the next game comes out.
That's great.
And that's going to be cool because, our league, anybody will be able to play on us, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to have a rec league amongst your buddies and play in that as well in your league, you'll have that option as well.
What I do want people to realize, Chris, and I don't know if you said this already, so Mike, sorry if I'm boring anybody here, but what is really cool is that the games that we play that are simulated, you can go and watch them. Either if you can't watch them live, you can watch them after they've been broadcast. You can watch them afterward. And it really looks like real teams playing the simulations. I mean, so right now, like you said, Mike, when there are no sports, it's really pretty freaking good entertainment, I have to say. Watching these games is really fucking fun.
I'm smoking a bowl watching 2 games right before I came over. And I forgot I got to get on this link, and I'm sitting here all right, well, I'm enjoying myself.
Well, that's awesome. No, I think this is great, and like I mentioned to you earlier, it's a perfect time for it to happen. So hopefully all of our listeners will log into gamerhuddle.com. Join a league, make a league, bet on Jeremy to lose every week, and have a lot of fun with it. Do Jeremy, Shane, do you have anything else that you'd like to ask Chris?
No, I just want to thank Chris for joining us and making this thing possible. Chris DuPont at Gamer Huddle, thanks for joining us. Thanks for all this. We'll bring you back. We'll definitely tell people how this season's going, buddy. And I hope the Browns are. I'll be satisfied if they're 8-8.
Okay?
So you're looking for, you got a tie, a loss, and a win in the division, so you're good to that. You're good.
That's pretty funny. And also, one of our listeners actually just said, "I'm smoking a bowl right now," so he likes your product as well. So hopefully these guys will go check it out.
Good on you, Kyle.
They'll go check it out, and we wish you nothing but success with this.
Thanks, Chris.
Appreciate it. I'm glad you guys are a part of it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks, Chris. All right. So before we left off and had Chris join us, we were getting ready to talk about our Patreon account. Go be a fucking patron. But thank you for everyone that has been hitting up the rating and reviews. There's been a ton left. We're up to like 157 the last I checked. Mostly just ratings. I didn't see actually any reviews, which is cool. But if you leave a review, we'll try to give you a shout out on the show.
Yeah, ratings.
Remember,
ratings are great. Everything's great. We love you guys, and thanks for doing that. So, there was at least 2 or 3 times where, first of all, I tried to answer one of your goddamn questions and I was unable to answer any questions. So I don't even remember what I was going to say. But there was also 2 or 3 times where I tried to move on to go to our trades. So now that we've gone past everything else, why don't we check out a couple of these trades before we wrap up tonight?
There's some trades in this house. 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 There's some trades in this house.
There's some people that have asked me to do drops and everything, and I'm always like, I don't want to do drops. That's not the kind of show we do. But I will anytime enjoy Shane to just start singing for no reason whatsoever.
So
I get it. It's funny, man. Shane always remembers his trades. I made trades this week. I already forgot about them. I don't remember what they were. In a Devi League, I made some trades. I don't recall.
Dude,
thanks, Shane, for
what you got to do is, all right, so what I do is when I make a trade that's, I think, a little bit interesting, is I'll go ahead and send it over to our Gmail account.
Yeah.
Gmail account.
I've seen them. Yeah.
So it's not every trade, but that's why I do that, is like, because I wouldn't remember that shit. You know what I mean?
And the problem for me right now, especially with all the startups we have going and all the rookie drafts, I have done so many trades right now that I don't even, I don't share them all because so many happen. But listen, this is what we do, and it's great. So go ahead.
Send them all in to the John. And then,
what?
Sometimes I look, you know what I mean? Like sometimes I'll think like, oh, this is an interesting trade. And then 3 days later, when I go to put them on the show sheet, I'm like, this trade is fucking trash. Who cares? Like, this trade. So
or if I put a trade, then you shit all over it like you did 2 weeks ago. But go ahead.
No, if it's a garbage trade. So Michael.
Yes.
First trade on the board. Some of our patrons know this because they all hated it. But I won't tell you which side is which.
Okay.
So and this is a 1 quarterback league, one of my 2 or 3 remaining ones.
Okay.
We have Bob Forrest's, the 209 and the 212, 2012 pick. For Travis Kelsey.
So it's a 1 quarterback league, and is it tight end premium?
It is not.
Oh, it's not even tight end premium. I would love to have the Travis Kelsey side. That's probably the side I would take anyways. But the way the world is and the way all these people are just so freaking excited about rookie draft picks and 209 and 212, you could get some players that may not necessarily be the greatest players, but the way the world looks at it, they think that they're getting great players. My side, me personally, I'd rather have Travis Kelsey on this side. But I could see where people would like to have those 2 second-round picks and Robert Woods.
Yeah, nope, I agree with you half-heartedly. No, wholeheartedly, I agree with you. I think that's the way to play it, Mike.
So what did everybody hate about it, Shane?
I think what the general consensus in the patron chat was that I'm stupid. And I don't know. I didn't get a lot of feedback other than, well, it's not tight end premium. It's just amazing to me because, like, we're all ready to bury Travis Kelsey, I think. Like, we're ready to move on. It's like that, oh, you've been the tight end one for the last 4 years. I'm tired of you. It's Mark Andrews and George Kittle time. Like, Travis Kelsey's still, what, 30, 31? Like, nah. Like, I still think he's, at worst, what's he, the tight end 2 next year? Tight end 3? At worst, he's a top 3 tight end for another 3 or 4 years.
Definitely. No
And
question.
you know how I love about Bobby Forrest.
Except his name is
of
Robert Woods, but yeah.
Robert Woods. Big fan of Bob. And Bob knows that. But look, Travis Kelce is just a fucking difference maker, man. And that's what I want. I want difference makers. Like, the longer I play this game, I want guys that can go out there and just fucking smash, drop 40 points on someone and make up for, the spots where my dudes aren't going to.
And Woods is not an old player. He's been consistently good for a while, a long time. Actually, he was good in Buffalo before he moved on. He's never been a bad player, but once he got to a good team where they actually used him, he's been a great player, and he's always been underpriced. So it's a guy that you're going to get the production out of at a decent, even if it's flat, at a decent cost. You're not overpaying for Robert Woods is what I'm saying. I love that player. He's not old yet. He's in his prime still. It's a good buy and a good guy. You're not paying for Julio Jones. You're not paying for a guy like Larry Fitzgerald, this is his last year. You're paying for a guy who's still in his prime. He's going to give you a few years. And people seem to forget about those guys. Like, I don't know if they're bored of it, they're not interested or whatever, but Robert Woods is a fucking great receiver, and it's a great buy right now.
But wait,
as far as values go, he's a great value.
Okay, hold on one second though.
So I got the Kelce side.
That's what I was just going to say. He got the Kelce side. I wanted the Kelce side,
I agree with the Kelce side.
But
I love Robert Woods at the same time. I will never tell you not to get a number one wide receiver. I mean, a number one tight end. And I know Woods isn't a number one wide receiver, but I'm telling you right now, King of Kings, who sent you, Travis Kelce, for Woods, the 209 and the 212, definitely did not win this trade, because Kelce is still the best tight end in the game, and he's going to be that way for a couple years. It doesn't matter that he's 30. I was just professing my love for Robert Woods, and I'm sorry I got carried away.
No problem. You don't have to be sorry.
I love the Wood. Pick the Wood all night. You know what I mean? Like, I'm never going to turn down the Woods. But yeah, no, I just feel like I said, man, Travis Kelce, I just think he's another animal. Thanks to Super Duper Flex, Kelce turns 31 in October, so this is his year 30 season. And we know tight ends age gracefully. So I'm thinking at worst I got Kelce for his age 30, 31, 32, 33 season.
And the other thing, too, about it, too, is even when it's not tight end premium, there's still a handful of tight ends that you could put in your lineup and not even have to think about it and worry about it. And there is a shit ton of wide receivers that are on the same level as Robert Woods is. So, Shane, we all agree with your side, even though you said the Patreons destroyed you.
Win. Invalidate.
So I just want to let our patrons know we don't care what you think. So then, same league, different trade. Someone gave up the 111 and a 2021 first for a 2020 105.
Yeah.
Which turned into DeAndre Quick.
Okay. First of all, I would do this trade a million times over. I'll take the 105. You can have my first round pick next year. I don't give a crap. Especially in these leagues that are super flex at 105.
This is a 1QB.
Okay, but what I'm saying to you at 105, if it's a super flex, you're getting great players. If it's not a super flex, at 105, the player you're getting is going to be considerably better than the player you're going to get at the 111, which is 6 picks later. In a superflex, maybe not so much. And of course, probably maybe not. Who knows? All of this stuff is bullshit. So so that's what I'm saying to you. So I definitely would take the 105 side of this trade, which I don't know if that's your side or not, Shane, but
yeah, and he got DeAndre Swift in the draft, which is great, because the 111, who knows what you're going to get? It's a crapshoot. And you know what? The 2021 first really doesn't matter right now, because Swift's going to be starting on your team this year. You can acquire a first round pick next year. It doesn't matter. Money and a dollar in hand is more important, and that's what you got in DeAndre Swift at 105. So you didn't pay too much, and you got a good player.
And the one, what was I going to say? So it's 1QB. And matter of fact, I'll go ahead and look at the draft now and see who went off the board at 111. And this team was in desperate need of running back. Like,
I bet. You drafted this team in the startup, right, Shane? So I'm sure it needed a lot of shit.
So this team desperately needed a running back. And, at 105, I knew that I was going to have a choice basically between Swift and Akers, probably. Because those
and that's a hell of a problem to have.
Yeah. And then I was completely fine with taking whichever one fell.
Yeah, if Akers was there and Swift was gone, sure, you would have been happy with that too. I would have. Akers is a hell of a running back for sure. I love that guy.
At the 111, a running back did go off the board, Keyshawn Vaughn.
I feel like he's overrated, dude. I mean, all in all, I like him. He's fine, but honestly, he's just been pushed up the board a little too much.
Yeah, and I mean, he's the 111 based off his landing spot. Because to me, and I've said this before I don't know, one of the podcasts we were on, he's a guy that I had in the back of the second round before he landed in Tampa Bay. So it was really hard for me to look at him and go, oh, yeah, he's a 111. Where DeAndre Swift was a guy at this time last year, we were looking at like, well, that's the 101. So they're not even comparable to me. They're way different types of players. I was stoked to get DeAndre Swift there. Like I said, I wasn't sure if he would be on the board, but lucky for me, someone drafted CD Lamb at 104.
Yeah, he's been going high sometimes. I love CeeDee Lamb, but honestly, I would not take him before those running backs that you're talking about. I would not.
Yeah,
and I think that the running backs are just guaranteed to get you points, and CeeDee Lamb's a little bit iffy. So, right?
Yeah. And you shouldn't. I don't advocate drafting for need, but this is one of those spots where it turned in. This is one of those situations where the best player on the board and my need.
We're the same. Sure, yeah.
Exactly the same. And then, I tried to trade back in to get Cam Akers and stuff, but unfortunately I couldn't get back up in the draft. So I ended up
you did fine, bro.
Yeah, later in the draft, though, I did trade in because Lynn Bowden Jr., who is a guy I really like with that running back designation, he was available in the third round. So I think I gave up a second rounder next year so that I can move up.
I would do that.
Right. Yeah, I think Lynn Bowden, he's obviously, I don't think he's going to be a running back one. I don't think he's going to be a
Swiss
running
Army
back.
knife. Hopefully they use him a lot. They get him on the field a lot, and then he gets those points. But yeah, he's like Laviska Shenault. You just don't know if he's going to get a ton of points on the regular. But especially in best ball, both of those guys, I want a ton of shares of them because when they do go off, it's going to be fucking huge. They're both so good.
Yeah, and that's why
going to dictate how they contribute year one for sure.
Yeah, so I definitely like Lynn Bowden there, and I was fine with giving up the second because even thinking, look, next year's class, I know it's going to be a good class. It's not this class.
No,
Lynn Bowden Jr. shouldn't have been falling to the third round. That's
no, he's definitely a high second round pick next year at the worst.
All right, and I've had enough of giving away a free show, so I think we should just go bounce over to the Patreon episode and just talk about some more shit.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
And then, we got a couple trades to talk about, which, and if you don't know, the patron show, very similar to this in the sense that we might start discussing a trade, but it always veers off into some other shit.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
I think that's our regular show as well. So
that's what I'm saying, man. We talk about trades, but that shit always veers off into more of a discussion on the players themselves, situations, and then some strategy. Because we are just basically like a one-stop shop now. Like we've moved into the 90s with jumping on YouTube. Next week, we might be live on the Nintendo Wii.
Switch. Nintendo Switch.
It'd probably be the Nintendo Switch, but yeah.
Yeah, Switch is a little advanced for us. So I think thinking more like the Wii.
We might be on DirecTV.
It's right in our wheelhouse, yeah.
Build our way. And we're not going to do Periscope. We could do whatever was before Periscope. So we might be on MySpace next week, too.
MySpace. I'm going to take my shirt off and show my abs. That was what MySpace was all about, the shots of people, the body shots. It was like a dating site or something.
So in the meantime, what we're going to do is we're going to end up this show. Let's tell everybody, go check us out on Twitter at DynastyTradesHQ. Check us out on iTunes at DynastyTradesHQ. Give us a rate and review. We really appreciate it. Join our Patreon account. Thanks, everybody. We love you guys, and we'll talk to you guys next week, and say goodbye, everybody.
Peace out. Goodbye, everybody.